Hello everyone, Books with Banks back again to finish out this BookTube Survivor kind of simulation game. And if you haven't watched the first two videos, I'll link those in the description below. I've been having a ton of fun coming up with these creative kind of fun scenarios, sometimes funny scenarios for why some of our favorite booktubers would be voting each other out, why they might be working with or against each other. And yeah, I've had a blast making this. I hope you've been enjoying this series so far. And today we're here to close things out. If you haven't already, it would mean a lot if you could please like and subscribe. And again, this is all in good fun. No hard feelings. I mean no offense to any of the booktube channels and their names that I'm using here for the simulation. So, where we left off, we were at the final six. Raph had just been voted out because it was supposed to be Mike to flush his idol, or flush him out of the game, or at least flush his idol out of the game because everyone still thinks he's a really big threat. However, Mike cut a secret deal with Alex from Tall Guy Reads, who was going to put enough votes on Mike to send him home, but Alex decided at the last minute to agree to Mike's deal. So we're in the final six, and this time Mike wins this round's individual immunity to the increasing frustration of specifically the dragons, the people who were on the former dragons tribe. And they can't seem to find any good avenues or rounds in which to get rid of Mike or to vote Mike out of this game. And Mike's building such a strong resume. Now the numbers of the final six break down like so. We have AP, Jimmy, and Alex are the former dragons left. Then you have Library Ladder, Jake, and Mike are the former unicorns left. All six of these players have worked closely together on various votes in the past, even though they were at odds in the tied-up vote when, if you remember from last time, when Scott went home. But here's where one player kind of makes a big move. Alex was recently approached by Mike with a promise of a Final Four placement, suggesting that Jimmy and AP would go next. Alex also has to take his secret collaborations with Jake into account, so Alex approaches Jake about this deal that Mike made him. They both agree that Mike has to be voted for ASAP, but they can't do that now because he has immunity, and Jake won't even consider turning on Library Ladder. So if it's really Jake and Alex calling the shots here this round, that means the only two vulnerable are Jimmy and AP, which happen to be Alex's two closest allies from earlier in the game. Alex decides it's high time to cut one of them, AP or Jimmy. They've worked together for the whole game. Some of Alex's thinking is, well, if we both get together, or if I get to the end with either of those two, who's to say if I controlled a lot of those votes or if they controlled a lot of the votes, we might kind of split votes, and any member of this strong Four Dragons alliance will likely want to take as much credit for that alliance's decisions as they can when they get to the end of the game. So Alex decides it's about time to cut one of them. Meanwhile, AP and Jimmy, they think they and Alex might have to tie it up again, 3 versus 3. And of Jake and Library Ladder, they're most worried about Jake. So this is how the voting goes. AP votes for Jake, Jimmy votes for Jake, Alex votes for Jimmy, Jake votes for Jimmy, Mike votes for Jimmy, and Library Ladder votes out Jimmy. Jimmy is voted out 11th in 6th place, becoming the 4th member of our jury. Next, we have our 12th round of gameplay. In this round, Library Ladder wins individual immunity. Everyone is glad that Mike didn't win it, and everyone is hoping that Mike saves his idol for the Final Four, the last time when he can play it. But even if he plays it this time, it'll just be a shot in the dark wondering who he votes for. If everyone piles votes on Mike, his one vote will vote somebody out. So Mike is keeping quiet about who that person would be. Alex wants to do everything he can to make sure it isn't him. And so the votes are all cast, but before the votes are read, Mike does choose to play his idol on himself this time around. AP voted for Mike, didn't count. Library Ladder voted for Mike, didn't count. Jake voted for Mike, didn't count. Alex voted for Library Ladder, and Mike voted for AP. So we have a tie again between Library Ladder and AP. Brief kind of side note on why Alex did this. Again, Mike's one vote could have just as easily been on Alex as it could have been on AP. So if it was on him, on himself, Alex wanted to make sure he cast another vote on some random other person that Mike likely wouldn't be voting for, like Library Ladder, to hopefully tie it up. So yeah, that's how we get our tie between Alex's one vote for Library Ladder and Mike's one vote for AP. And now only Jake, Alex, and Mike can vote on the revote. And this time Jake votes for AP, Mike votes for AP, and Alex still votes for Library Ladder. So by a vote of 2-1, AP is voted out 12th in 5th place, becoming the 5th member of the jury. Next, we have our 13th round. And this time, Alex wins individual immunity. Everyone's still nervous about Mike's threat level, thinking he'll easily beat any of them in any final 2 scenario he's in, so they decide to target him. Mike wanted to go after Alex, fearing Alex would get a lot of votes from the Dragons tribe members over on the jury, but Alex winning immunity threw a wrench in Mike's plan, so now he just wants to break up Library Ladder and Jake. He suspects Jake is better in the challenges, and so the voting goes like this. Mike votes for Jake, but Jake, Alex, and Library Ladder all vote out Mike. Mike's voted out 13th in 4th place, becoming the 6th member of the jury. So our final 3 are Jake Bishop, Alex from Tall Guy Reads, and Library Ladder. So in our 14th and kind of the beginning of our final round of gameplay, Alex wins another individual immunity challenge, making it his ultimate decision whether or not to vote out Library Ladder or Jake. This ultimate duo, super powerful pair that despite the odds have made it to the final 3. Unfortunately, because Alex won this last challenge, the 2 of them cannot both occupy those seats at the end. So Alex considers who was voted against previously as a bigger threat. Alex considers who he played more or less similar to, who his biggest competition might be, and Alex votes out Jake, making Jake the 14th person voted out. He comes in 3rd place, and he's the 7th and final member of the jury. All right, so now we have our final 2 final tribal council phase of the game, wherein the 7 most recently voted out castaways and booktubers, they have the ultimate decision to vote for either Alex or Library Ladder to win the grand prize of 1 million subscribers. Yay! So what happens is the 2 of them are brought before the jury, and they both have to kind of plead their case, why they deserve the jurors' votes. So here's the arguments that, based on this story that's been told so far, the arguments I think both of these players would likely make. So Alex, he talks about only receiving 2 votes the entire game against him, and those 2 votes came in the very first tribal council. He made it through every other tribal council without getting a single vote. He also talks about his instrumental role as part of the 4 Dragons Alliance. He talks about his idle play and move to save Murphy, repairing that bond for a brief time, but then also getting a unicorn out in that unstable kind of pre-merge phase of the game to keep the Dragons' numbers up. And Alex talks about his secret alliance with Jake, which helped them both navigate the tricky endgame, and how he ultimately had to get rid of Jake because he thought they might split the final vote too evenly between themselves and that Jake was his biggest threat. Then Library Ladder's argument, he talks about his willingness to think outside of tribal lines and work with a lot of the people who now happen to be sitting over on the jury. He talks about how he and Jake worked really well throughout the game as the tightest duo, surviving 2 votes apart to reunite and continue to survive and dominate strategically together. Library Ladder also talks about being between the kind of swing vote between the YouTube Powerhouse Alliance and the MelazTube Alliance, initially and successfully navigating that swing vote position, Last but not least, he talks about keeping Mike around as a meat shield so that in the second half of the game, whenever the dragons wanted to target unicorns, it was always all about getting rid of Mike and his idol and never about getting rid of Library Ladder and Jake. So, the jury's questions and thoughts going into it. Murphy is conflicted about how Alex both saved her but also voted her out, and she's sorry to say she didn't get many opportunities to work with or get to know Library Ladder. Scott is happy that Alex stuck to his Four Dragons roots and his Four Dragons guns enough to go to Rocks and be vulnerable with him in that tiebreaker vote. But he also praises Library Ladder's ability to recognize how big a threat Daniel was in that pre-merge but tribe swap phase. Scott really respects Library Ladder's ability to think bigger than just old tribal lines. Raph is frustrated that he never seemed to be included on much of the unicorn strategies, and that Library Ladder's first vote was against one of his closest allies, Ruth Ann Bad, but Raph also really respects Library Ladder for sticking closely to his number one ally all game. Raph is confused at first about why Alex voted him out instead of Mike, but he understands and accepts the smarts behind Alex's deal with Mike. Jimmy is mad at first that Alex made this deal with Mike, and Jimmy respects how open Library Ladder was to working with him and Scott in the tribe swap phase. Despite respecting the cleaner game of Library Ladder, he can't help but feel like one of the Four Dragons should still win, so it's kind of a toss-up for Jimmy right now. AP blames Mike and his idol play more for his ouster than he blames Alex, and AP's just sad that he couldn't be sitting next to Alex in the end. He's shocked by the secret alliance Alex and Jake had, though, and he's also shocked by the deal Alex was only half-heartedly committed to with Mike. And AP, similar to Murphy actually, is sad to not have had more chances to get to know Library Ladder, only meeting at the merge. AP likes how Library Ladder made the risky gamble of considering voting out unicorns like Raph and Mike to shore up more trust and confidence with the new dragons, even if that final 7 didn't ultimately turn out how they planned. Then Mike is impressed by the fact that Alex had a long-standing public alliance with the Four Dragons and a secret alliance with Jake, and even a Final Four deal with himself. Mike also looks back fondly on working well with both Library Ladder and Jake for several votes, even if he was always the third person on the outside of that duo. And then, last but not least, Jake Bishop understandably believes that Library Ladder played a flawless game, never exactly putting himself in the majority, but always putting enough shields in front of him he and Jake, to make sure they could make it at least another few rounds. Jake also reflects on how much fun his secret late-game alliance was with Alex. So, this is how the votes come out. Murphy votes for Alex to win. Scott votes for Alex. Raph votes for Library Ladder. Jimmy votes for Library Ladder. AP votes for Alex. Jake votes for Library Ladder. So we're tied 3-3, and it all comes down to Mike's vote. At the end of the day, Mike casts his vote for Alex. So in a close finish, 4 votes to 3, Alex from Tall Guy Reads comes away the winner. Yay, congratulations, Alex. Yeah, again, this was all just a bunch of fun. I might do similar things with maybe characters or something, or authors, or I might even plug booktubers, different set of booktubers, because I might plug them into a different kind of game simulation in the future. But yeah, I had a ton of fun making this. I hope it came across clearly enough. Tried to provide a few graphics throughout. Hopefully that made the voting strategies and the alliances, tribal lines, I hope it made all of that stuff a little bit clearer. But yeah, please let me know what you thought down below. If you have any ideas for other games I could do with this type of randomizer sort of thing, just let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.